Welcome back to PSYCHIANT, your go-to channel for fascinating psychological insights. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest videos. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of introverts. Let's explore 25 psychological facts about introverts that will help you better understand how they think, feel, and interact with the world around them. Alright, let's kick things off with the first fact. Introverts are often misunderstood, so today we're uncovering the truths behind this personality type. Let's get started. Fact number 1. Focused on the internal world. Introverts tend to be more focused on their internal thoughts and feelings rather than the external world. This doesn't mean they don't enjoy the outside world, but their minds are often a playground of deep thoughts. As Susan Cain discusses in her book, Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, introverts often feel more at home in their internal world, reflecting and processing their experiences. Fact number 2. Quality over quantity in relationships. They value deep, meaningful connections with a few people rather than having a large group of acquaintances. A close-knit circle of friends means everything to them. In The Introvert's Way, Living, A Quiet Life in a Noisy World by Sophia Dembling, she explains that introverts prioritize genuine bonds over superficial interactions. Fact number 3. Time alone is recharging. Introverts need time alone to recharge. While social interactions can be draining for them, solo activities like reading, writing, or simply thinking help them feel energized again. In Introvert Power. Why Your Inner Life is Your Hidden Strength by Laurie Helgo. She emphasizes how solitude allows introverts to feel recharged and connected to their true selves. Fact number 4. Not fans of attention. Introverts often feel more at ease observing rather than being the center of attention. Unlike extroverts who thrive on social energy, introverts feel more at home in the background. It's not that they lack confidence, they simply draw their strength from reflection and solitude. Susan Cain, in her groundbreaking book, Quiet, reveals how our culture often overlooks the quiet power of introverts. Yet, their thoughtful nature and ability to listen deeply are qualities that make them extraordinary. Some of the most influential minds in history were introverts. Their ability to observe, analyze, and create often stems from their preference for calm over chaos. Rather than chasing attention, introverts focus on substance, allowing their ideas to speak louder than words. Introverts don't need the spotlight to shine. Embracing their inner world allows them to harness their thoughtful, introspective, and deeply powerful nature. Fact number 5. Limited energy for socializing. Did you know that introverts have a limited reservoir of energy for socializing? Unlike extroverts who thrive in social settings, introverts often find these interactions draining. Imagine attending a lively party or a bustling networking event. While extroverts may feel energized by the crowd, introverts are more likely to feel overstimulated and in need of solitude afterward. Why does this happen? Research suggests that introverts process stimuli more deeply. Elaine N. Aron, in her book, The Highly Sensitive Person, explains that highly sensitive people, many of whom are introverts, are naturally more attuned to their surroundings. They notice subtle details, pick up on emotions, and process information thoroughly. While this heightened awareness can be a strength, it also means their mental energy depletes faster in stimulating environments. So, what can introverts do to thrive in a world that often values constant interaction? The key is balance. Scheduling downtime after social events, setting boundaries, and prioritizing meaningful conversations over small talk can help introverts recharge and stay emotionally healthy. If you're an introvert, embrace your need for quiet moments. And if you know an introvert, understand their need for space isn't about avoiding you. It's about preserving their well-being. Let's celebrate these unique traits and create environments where everyone, introverts and extroverts, alike can flourish. Stay tuned for more fascinating insights into psychology and personality on this channel. Fact number 6. Deep thinkers. Introverts often get a bad rap for being quiet or reserved, but there's so much more to their nature. They tend to spend a lot of time reflecting, not just on the everyday moments, but on the bigger questions of life. What's the purpose of everything? How do our actions affect the world around us? This constant reflection creates a rich inner world, one that can be incredibly complex. While the extrovert may gain energy from the external world, introverts draw their strength from within, processing ideas and thoughts in ways that are sometimes hard to express outwardly. But here's the catch. Being a deep thinker means introverts often see connections that others miss. They may take longer to respond in a conversation, not because they're shy, but because they are carefully considering their words. They dive into complex problems, analyzing every angle before they make a decision. This deep thinking gives introverts a unique perspective, one that's introspective, thoughtful, and insightful. So next time you meet an introvert, remember they might be contemplating the universe while having a quiet moment. Their minds are busy, and that's where their true power lies. So, if you're an introvert, embrace that inner world. It's a place full of creativity, depth, and understanding. And if you're not, take a moment to appreciate how much goes on beneath the surface. Fact number 7. Amazing listeners. Next up on PSYCHIANT, let's talk about another incredible trait of introverts. They're amazing listeners. Introverts may not always be the loudest in a room, but when it comes to truly hearing someone, they are unmatched. Have you ever had a conversation with someone who seems fully engaged, who listens to every word you say and responds with thoughtfulness? That's the introvert's strength. Because introverts often observe the world quietly, they develop an exceptional ability to listen. Instead of rushing to offer advice or share their own experience, they tend to focus entirely on you. They absorb not just the words, but also the tone, body language, and emotions behind them. It's not just about hearing, it's about understanding when you need someone to really listen and provide meaningful feedback. Introverts are the ones you can rely on. They give you space to express yourself, and their responses are often insightful and empathetic. They may take their time to process, but when they speak, it's always with depth and care. For introverts, listening isn't just a skill, it's a core part of who they are. So next time you're in a conversation with an introvert, appreciate the attention they're giving. It's a rare gift that shows just how much they value your thoughts. Fact number 8. Prefer quiet activities. Next, let's dive into a favorite pastime of introverts. They prefer quiet activities. Introverts often find solace in activities that allow them to retreat from the noise of the world and immerse themselves in their thoughts. Whether it's curling up with a good book, painting a masterpiece, or solving a challenging puzzle, introverts are drawn to calm, solitary pursuits, unlike extroverts, who may seek out bustling social environments for energy. Introverts find peace in quiet moments of introspection. These activities provide them with a chance to recharge, reflect, and lose themselves in something deeply engaging. It's not just about the activity itself, it's about creating space to explore their inner world. For introverts, these quiet moments are essential. They help them feel grounded, more focused, and in touch with their thoughts. It's in these peaceful activities where they often do their best thinking and experience a sense of fulfillment. So, if you ever see an introvert enjoying some quiet time, don't mistake it for boredom. They're simply recharging, getting lost in something meaningful, and connecting with themselves in the most profound way. Fact number 9. Dislike multitasking. Next, let's talk about something introverts often avoid. Multitasking. While many people pride themselves on being able to juggle multiple tasks at once, introverts tend to prefer focusing on one task at a time. Why? Because multitasking can actually overwhelm them, making it difficult to concentrate and produce their best work. Introverts thrive when they can dedicate their full attention to a single task. This allows them to think deeply, process information, and work efficiently without the constant switching between tasks that can cause distractions. When they're able to focus fully, they're often more productive and produce higher quality results. Multitasking can be draining for introverts, leading to mental fatigue and a sense of frustration. So, instead of trying to do everything at once, introverts prefer to immerse themselves in what they're doing, giving it their complete focus. So, if you're an introvert, embrace the power of single tasking. It allows you to tap into your full potential and avoid the overwhelm that comes with trying to juggle too much. Fact number 10. One-on-one conversations are best. Let's dive into the next interesting fact. We all know that speaking in front of a large group can make anyone nervous, especially if you're not the type to seek attention. Well, for many introverts, one-on-one conversations are the most comfortable and enjoyable moments. Imagine this. When you're talking to just one person, the atmosphere is calmer, more personal, and more meaningful. There's no pressure to perform. In front of a crowd, just two people sharing thoughts and feelings. This is why many introverts find it easier to open up in private conversations than when speaking to a large audience. When given the chance to engage in a more intimate setting, they can express their ideas and emotions more clearly and comfortably. So, if you're more introverted, there's nothing wrong with choosing one-on-one chats to feel more at ease and speak more freely. And for those who are extroverted, try understanding how important this personal space is for them. You never know, these types of conversations could lead to deeper and more meaningful connections. Fact number 11. Writing over speaking. Let's move on to the next fascinating fact. For many introverts, expressing themselves through writing is often much easier than speaking. Why? Well, writing allows them the time and space to carefully craft their thoughts before sharing them with the world. Think about it. When you're writing, there's no immediate pressure to respond quickly. No need to worry about how others will react in the moment. You can take your time to reflect, choose your words carefully, and make sure you're conveying exactly what you mean. This gives introverts the opportunity to express themselves more clearly and thoughtfully without the stress of a live conversation. On the other hand, speaking can be more challenging for some introverts because it often requires instant reactions. But with writing, they can fine-tune their ideas, allowing them to feel more confident in their communication. So, next time you're talking to an introvert and they seem a bit reserved or quieter than usual, don't be surprised if they express their thoughts better through writing. It's just their preferred way of letting their voice be heard. Fact 12. Slow decision makers. Now, let's dive into another intriguing fact. Have you ever noticed how introverts often take their time when making decisions? It's not because they're indecisive, but because they prefer to think things through carefully. For introverts, making a decision isn't about rushing to a conclusion or reacting impulsively. It's about ensuring that their choices are well-informed and well-considered. They carefully weigh the pros and cons, think about all possible outcomes, and sometimes even reflect on their past experiences before finalizing a decision. This thoughtful approach allows them to feel more confident in their choices, knowing they've taken all angles into account. While this might seem like a slow process to some, for introverts, it's all about quality over speed. They don't like to rush into decisions without understanding the full picture. So, if you ever find yourself wondering why an introvert seems to hesitate before making a decision, it's because they're taking the time to make sure it's the right one. Let's explore the next fascinating fact. Many introverts thrive on routine. They're not necessarily creatures of habit, but they certainly enjoy predictability. Having a structured routine helps them feel grounded, providing a sense of stability. In an often unpredictable world, for introverts, routines are like a foundation that allows them to focus on what truly matters, whether it's personal goals, work, or self-reflection. When their day is organized, it minimizes unnecessary distractions and lets them dedicate their energy to things that align with their values. This structured approach isn't about avoiding change or spontaneity entirely. It's about creating a framework that supports their well-being and productivity. A routine provides them with the space to recharge, plan, and pursue their passions with greater clarity. So, if you ever notice an introvert sticking to a specific schedule, it's because it helps them feel more in control and less overwhelmed, giving them the freedom to focus on what they care about most. Let's uncover another interesting fact. Introverts are known for thinking before they speak, and there's a good reason for that. Instead of jumping into conversations right away, they take a moment to process their thoughts, ensuring they're Words truly reflect what they want to say. This thoughtful approach often leads to conversations that are not just meaningful, but also impactful. While others might prefer quick responses, introverts value depth over speed. They're more likely to listen first, analyze the situation, and then share insights that are well considered and purposeful. Think of it this way: when an introvert speaks, it's not just to fill the silence. It's because they have something worth sharing. Their ability to pause and reflect before speaking often creates stronger connections and avoids misunderstandings. So, the next time an introvert takes a moment before responding, know that they're carefully crafting words that matter. And when they finally speak, you'll likely find their thoughts are well worth the wait. Introverts often find social interactions enjoyable and fulfilling. However, unlike extroverts who may gain energy from such engagements, introverts typically expend energy during social activities and require time alone to recharge. This need for solitude is not a sign of antisocial behavior, but a natural aspect of their personality. In her book, Quiet: The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, author Susan Cain discusses how introverts thrive in environments that are not overly stimulating. She explains that after socializing, introverts often seek out quiet spaces to restore their energy levels. Psychologist Marty Olson-Laney, in The Introvert Advantage, further elaborates on this by explaining that introverts have a different neurological pathway for processing stimuli, which can lead to quicker exhaustion in social settings. This neurological wiring means that after engaging in social activities, introverts benefit from retreating to their personal spaces to rejuvenate. It's important to note that this recovery period is essential for introverts' well-being. Without adequate downtime, they may experience what is colloquially known as an introvert hangover, characterized by feelings of fatigue and overwhelm. Understanding this aspect of introversion can lead to more supportive relationships and environments. Recognizing that the need for solitude is a natural and necessary part of an introvert's life allows for greater empathy and accommodation, fostering healthier interactions for everyone involved. Fact number 16. Concentrated in creative activities. Let's uncover another fascinating fact. Introverts often excel in creative activities that demand deep focus and concentration, whether it's painting, writing, composing music, or even solving complex puzzles. Their creativity seems to flow best when they're alone. But why is that? Research shows that introverts tend to be more reflective and introspective, which allows them to explore ideas in greater depth. In his book, Quiet: The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, Susan Cain highlights how solitude fuels creativity. She explains that many of history's most brilliant thinkers, like Albert Einstein and J.K. Rowling, preferred working alone to fully immerse themselves in their creative process. Psychologists also suggest that introverts' brains are wired to process information more deeply. According to Marty Olson-Laney in The Introvert Advantage, introverts rely heavily on the parasympathetic nervous system, which promotes calmness and focus, perfect for creative tasks that require careful thought and reflection. So, if you ever find an introvert lost in thought or deeply absorbed in their work, it's not because they're avoiding people. It's because they're tapping into their natural strengths, using solitude to fuel their imagination and produce meaningful creations. This is a reminder that great ideas often come from quiet minds, proving that creativity doesn't always need noise or crowds to thrive. Fact number 17. Vivid inner world. Let's dive into another fascinating fact. Introverts are often known for having a rich and vivid inner world. Their minds are like private theaters, full of imagination, daydreams, and endless possibilities. According to psychologist Laurie Helgo, author of Introvert Power: Why Your Inner Life is Your Hidden Strength, introverts are naturally drawn to introspection. They spend a lot of time reflecting, visualizing ideas, and exploring scenarios in their minds. This internal exploration often sparks creativity and innovation. Neuroscientists have also found that introverts show increased activity in the brain's default mode network, which is associated with imagination, self-reflection, and memory processing. This network becomes active when the mind is at rest, making solitude a perfect space for introverts to recharge and create. Because of this vivid inner world, introverts often enjoy hobbies like reading, writing, and creating art. Activities that allow them to bring their imaginative ideas to life. Their ability to visualize details and possibilities also helps them excel in problem-solving and strategic thinking. So, if you ever catch an introvert staring off into space, don't be fooled. They're not disconnected. Instead, they're likely building worlds, solving problems, or dreaming up their next big idea. Their imagination is their sanctuary and often their greatest strength. Number 18. Sensitive to external stimulation. Let's dive into another fascinating fact. Introverts are often more sensitive to external stimulation. Loud noises, crowded spaces, and overly busy environments can leave them feeling stressed or drained. But why does this happen? Psychologist Elaine Aron, in her groundbreaking book The Highly Sensitive Person, explains that some people, including many introverts, have more reactive nervous systems. This heightened sensitivity means they process sensory input more deeply, making them more aware of subtleties, but also more easily overwhelmed. Neuroscientific research also backs this up. Studies have shown that introverts have higher levels of activity in the brain's prefrontal cortex, which is linked to deep thinking and processing information. While this can make them excellent problem solvers and thinkers, it also means they may need quieter environments to function at their best. This sensitivity isn't a weakness, it's actually a strength. It allows introverts to notice details others might miss, from subtle changes in someone's mood to small details in their surroundings. However, it also explains why they might prefer calm, peaceful settings over busy, high-energy environments. So, if you see an introvert stepping away from a noisy party or choosing a quiet corner at an event, it's not because they're antisocial. It's because their brains are wired to need space for calm and clarity. This balance helps them recharge and stay focused. Introverts are naturally reflective and introspective. They spend a lot of time examining their actions, thoughts, and emotions, not out of overthinking, but as a way to learn, grow, and better understand themselves. In her book, Quiet the Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, Susan Cain explains that introverts tend to process information deeply. Their brains are wired to pause, reflect, and analyze situations before taking action. This thoughtful approach often leads to personal growth and wiser decision-making. Psychologist Carl Jung, who first popularized the concept of introversion, described introverts as individuals who focus inward to gain insight. This introspection allows them to evaluate their experiences and emotions, making them more self-aware and empathetic toward others. This reflective nature also helps introverts develop strong problem-solving skills. By carefully analyzing situations, they can identify patterns, learn from past experiences, and approach challenges with well-thought-out strategies. However, this introspective tendency isn't just about problem-solving. It's also a source of creativity and personal growth. Journaling, meditating, or simply spending time alone are activities that many introverts use to process their thoughts and emotions. So, if you notice an introvert taking a moment to reflect or staying quiet during a conversation, don't mistake it for disinterest. Chances are they're processing the moment deeply, turning it into insight, learning, or even inspiration. Introverts are often deeply empathetic. While they may not always express their emotions outwardly, they have a remarkable ability to sense what others are feeling and genuinely care about their well-being. Psychologist Elaine Aron, in her book, The Highly Sensitive Person, explains that many introverts possess traits of high sensitivity, which include heightened empathy and emotional awareness. They are more likely to notice subtle emotional cues, such as tone of voice, facial expressions, and body language. Neuroscience also supports this idea. Studies show that introverts often have increased activity in the brain's mirror neuron system, which is responsible for empathy and understanding others' emotions. This heightened neural activity allows them to feel what someone else is experiencing, making them compassionate listeners and thoughtful supporters. Because of this deep empathy, introverts often form meaningful and lasting relationships. They may not enjoy surface-level small talk, but they excel in providing emotional support during more profound personal conversations. However, this emotional sensitivity can also be overwhelming at times. Introverts may need space to process the emotions they absorb from others and recharge their own emotional energy. So, if an introvert offers you a listening ear, know that they're not just hearing your words, they're truly feeling your emotions and striving to understand your perspective. Their empathy may be quiet, but it runs deep. Let's dive into another intriguing fact. Introverts are often known for being conflict-avoidant. They prefer peaceful, harmonious interactions and tend to resolve disagreements quietly rather than through direct confrontation. But why is this the case? According to Marty Olson-Laney in The Introvert Advantage, introverts are naturally more sensitive to external stimuli, including emotional tension. This heightened sensitivity can make confrontations feel overwhelming, leading them to seek calm and thoughtful ways to handle disagreements. Instead of arguing or raising their voices, introverts often focus on listening, reflecting, and finding solutions that preserve relationships. They value emotional stability and prefer to de-escalate situations rather than escalate them. In her book, Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, Susan Cain highlights that introverts tend to approach conflicts with logic and empathy, often offering creative compromises instead of ultimatums. However, this conflict-avoidant nature doesn't mean introverts shy away from standing up for themselves. When an issue matters deeply, they are likely to address it thoughtfully, often after carefully considering their words and timing. Their approach reflects their desire to protect relationships and minimize emotional strain. Instead of impulsive reactions, introverts rely on calm discussions and written communication to address sensitive topics. So, if an introvert chooses to step back during a heated argument, it's not out of indifference. It's because they're focused on finding a peaceful resolution, one that values harmony over hostility. Introverts are highly self-aware and know their limits, especially when it comes to social situations. They have a natural ability to recognize when they need to take a step back and recharge. Psychologist Marty Olson-Laney, in her book, The Introvert Advantage, explains that introverts process social interactions more deeply, which can lead to mental fatigue if they're overstimulated for too long. Because of this, they develop a strong sense of self-awareness, allowing them to set boundaries and protect their energy. Susan Cain, author of Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, adds that introverts excel at emotional regulation. They know when to step away from loud or chaotic environments to maintain their mental and emotional balance. This ability to honor their limits often helps them avoid burnout and stay grounded. Rather than pushing themselves past their comfort zone, introverts carefully manage their social energy. For example, they might enjoy a party for an hour or two, but leave early to avoid feeling drained. They're not antisocial, they're simply respecting their natural rhythms. This self-awareness also allows introverts to focus on quality over quantity in relationships and activities. By knowing their limits, they can prioritize what matters most and create space for meaningful connections. So, if an introvert says they need some alone time, it's not a rejection. It's self-care. Recognizing their limits isn't just smart. It's a strength that helps them stay balanced, focused, and ready for what comes next. Let's explore another fascinating fact. Introverts often excel in independent work. They thrive when given the space to focus deeply and work without distractions, which makes them incredibly effective in environments where solo efforts are valued. According to Susan Cain, author of Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, introverts' ability to concentrate for long periods is one of their greatest strengths. In fact, she notes that many introverts perform exceptionally well in careers that require deep thinking, problem-solving, and solitary work. They don't need constant social interaction to stay motivated. Instead, they prefer to immerse themselves in their tasks and achieve goals on their own. Psychologist Marty Olson-Laney, in The Introvert Advantage, adds that introverts often excel in roles that demand attention to detail and sustained focus. Their preference for minimal distractions allows them to dive into complex projects and see them through to completion. Laney also explains that introverts find solitude energizing, which fuels their productivity and creativity. This preference for independent work is why many introverts feel most at home in jobs that allow for autonomy, whether it's writing, research, coding, or designing. The freedom to work at their own pace with minimal interruption allows them to produce high-quality results. Introverts' ability to thrive alone doesn't mean they don't value collaboration. It simply means that they are highly capable of delivering excellent work when given the opportunity to focus deeply without constant input from others. So, the next time you see an introvert engrossed in their work, remember that this quiet focus is one of their greatest assets. They're not avoiding people. They're creating something meaningful in their own space, at their own pace. Introverts typically avoid small talk. While many people can engage in light, casual conversation with ease, introverts prefer deeper, more meaningful discussions that offer substance rather than just pleasantries. In quiet. The power of introverts. In a world that can't stop talking, Susan Cain explains that introverts often find small talk draining because it lacks the depth they crave. They're naturally inclined to explore ideas and emotions that go beyond the surface. Small talk, with its focus on trivialities, doesn't provide the mental stimulation or personal connection that introverts value in conversations. Psychologist Marty Olson-Laney in The Introvert Advantage notes that introverts tend to be more reflective and thoughtful, which leads them to prefer discussions that allow them to explore complex topics and exchange meaningful insights. Small talk, on the other hand, feels repetitive and often unimportant to them. This preference for meaningful conversation is also linked to introverts' desire for authentic connections. They are not necessarily antisocial, but they seek quality over quantity in their interactions. Deep conversations help them feel more connected to others, and they often find themselves drawn to people who are willing to discuss topics of substance. So, if an introvert steers the conversation away from small talk, don't take it personally. It's just their way of trying to engage in something more thought-provoking, something that helps them connect on a deeper level. For introverts, the real value in a conversation comes from exploring ideas, emotions, and experiences that matter. Let's wrap up with an insightful fact. Introverts are often slow to adapt in new social situations. While some people can effortlessly blend into new environments, introverts may take their time adjusting and can feel awkward or anxious at first. In her book, Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, Susan Cain explains that introverts typically need more time to process and acclimate to unfamiliar social settings. Their tendency to observe before participating, as well as their preference for deeper connections over casual interactions, can make new environments feel overwhelming at first. Psychologist Marty Olson-Laney, in The Introvert Advantage, elaborates on how introverts' brains process social stimuli more deeply, making them more sensitive to the nuances of new environments. This deeper processing means they might feel more drained by social interactions in unfamiliar situations, leading to initial feelings of discomfort. However, this doesn't mean introverts can't adapt. With time, patience, and space to reflect, they gradually feel more comfortable in new social settings. As they observe and make sense of the dynamics around them, they can begin to engage more confidently. It's just that introverts tend to need a bit longer to fully adjust and find their place. So, if you see an introvert hesitating or taking a step back in a new social situation, don't mistake it for disinterest. It's simply their way of processing, observing, and eventually finding comfort at their own pace. Once they've adapted, they often shine through their thoughtfulness and authenticity. And there you have it, 25 facts about introverts that may just help you understand them a little bit better. If you're an introvert yourself, let us know in the comments how many of these facts resonated with you. And if you're an extrovert, we'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Don't forget to like this video if you found it insightful and share it with anyone who could benefit from this information. We'll see you next time with more psychology insights right here on PSYCHIANT. Take care and stay curious.